everybody, I'm doing something a little bit different today, so I don't blame you if you don't want to tune in. This is going to be more of a telling of my birth story for my firstborn. Her 12th birthday is coming soon, and so it just has me very reflective and thinking a lot about, when she was born and kind of also in terms of current events, like the world I was hoping she would grow up in versus the world she is growing up in. But I also feel like, I want to take some time and dedicate part of this to her for her birthday so she can remember turning 12. So, the story of Ashley being born, my husband and I were newly married, and I had had some previous health conditions that were really unaddressed during my first pregnancy. And I think my providers just didn't recognize the seriousness of those conditions enough that they could properly warn me about what that could mean for birth outcomes. A little bit further into the pregnancy and then beyond into my second and third pregnancy, when I became a doula myself and hired a doula and went through that process of becoming properly educated about one's right to informed consent and bodily autonomy. And so I like to think about how all of that started with Ashley. So I was a cigarette smoker. I smoked a pack a day since the age of 15. I found out I was pregnant at 27. So I finally quit smoking at the age of 27. I had one cigarette after my positive pregnancy test, and I felt like such a piece of garbage while smoking it. And that's not to suggest that I'm judging women who smoke in pregnancy. I'm just saying that for me, it was a line I could not cross. And so I think I smoked maybe 1/3 to 1/2 of that cigarette and then put it out and just went inside and was kind of baffled by the whole thing. So my husband and I were living in Northeast Philadelphia. I had recently switched providers because I had started learning a little bit about midwifery care and how that was different from your regular OBGYN. And so I had switched to a midwifery center, a birth center that was within a hospital. There was a group of midwives and then OBGYNs that covered them. Because most of my records had been transferred over, but I had only seen the practice themselves once or twice. I had had several episodes of preterm labor throughout my pregnancy. Several times I was in the hospital and given medication to stop labor. I'm thankful for those interventions if and when they are needed, and I am thankful for the ability to guide folks to make the decisions themselves about if and when those things are needed. I had another episode of preterm labor around 34 weeks. I remember this so distinctly because we were renting, but we had made a deal with our landlord that we would pay for the carpets to be replaced in the nursery, and he would deduct that from our rent. And we had a great relationship with them, so that was obviously our plan. So we had somebody in. We were getting estimates for the carpet for the nursery, thinking we still had some time left. And I got a call from the midwifery center, and I explained to them what was happening. And just for a frame of reference, what was happening to me, I was having contractions every 4 minutes. They were not incredibly painful, but I know that kind of hyperactive uterus is something I was prone to. The thing that was different about this time, though, is that I was also spotting, meaning that I had to wear a liner to protect my underwear. Towards the end of pregnancy, women can begin to lose their mucus plug. Sometimes that can be tinged with blood. It is normal for the cervix to potentially dilate slightly before labor when you're talking about a full-term pregnancy. So it is not terribly unusual to have a little bit of spotting. That's not the emergency. It's the totality of all the symptoms. So we had, a history of preterm labor, already being in the hospital, needing medication to stop the labor, being a new patient, right? So when I explained the symptoms to them, they told me to come in. And I remember going downstairs with my husband and saying, like, honey, I think we have to cut this short. The midwife called. She wants me in the hospital right away. So I went and they admitted me to labor and delivery. They decided that they were going to at least keep me for the night. I appreciate the extra care and attention that this hospital and the midwifery group, I think it's Penn Midwifery Group at Pennsylvania Hospital. They were amazing. I know many folks and other doulas even who have had terrible experiences with them. So, I can't recommend them 10 out of 10. They're going to be great all the time, but I can tell you that my experience with them was very positive. So they did admit me. They ran an IV, of course, to make sure that I was hydrated. I don't remember if they gave me medication to actually stop the contractions. I think the reasoning was at 34 weeks, they don't stop labor. But what they did want to do is hydrate me. They wanted to try a couple things to just see if it was something that could be remedied easily enough and that I could, the contractions would stop on their own. We were in there for a couple hours, and I remember I had my purse and my husband had like a bottle of water, and don't ask me why, but he was reading George Washington's final address, or maybe it was Abraham Lincoln's final address. I don't even know. So he has this paper and himself and a bottle of water, and I have a purse because I'm thinking I'm going to go in, they're going to give me medicine, they're going to send me home like they've been doing. My old providers were doing. No, they're going to keep me. So, okay, great. I go to the bathroom, I do the whole urine sample thing, I get back into bed, and as I'm climbing into bed, I put one leg up on the bed because I was still pretty nimble. I was young, I did a lot of yoga, Pilates, I tried to stay fit throughout pregnancy. Anyway, I threw my leg up there because I could. I threw my leg up there, and as soon as I did that, it was this humongous gush of water. It was not a trickle. I was not confused about what it was. I had not peed myself. This was clearly my water breaking, and I looked at my husband and I said, "Oh," he's like, "What?" I said, "My water just broke." He's like, "No." I said, "Yeah." Called the nurses in. They're like, okay, you probably just peed yourself. I'm like, "Ma'am, I was just coming from the bathroom. I had just emptied my bladder. Like, this was a humongous amount of water." "Okay, well, just relax and we'll be in and we'll, They finally come in. It's been a couple minutes. Nothing's happening in terms of like painful contractions at that point. So they come in and they run their little tests and they check me and they say, "Well, your water broke." "Well, no, lady, that's what I was trying to tell you back to." Okay, so we're just going to move on from there. So I'm having these contractions, but they're not really productive. And a bag of something is hung. I later find out it's Pitocin. I just really didn't ask. I was so scared. When you're in that high risk situation, you're almost traumatized to the point where you have to rely on the medical professionals. And I think that is what has happened to some of the women that I know that have had such a complete turnaround from believing in bodily autonomy and informed consent to like vaccine mandates and doulas should. I don't hire doulas. Doulas can't be in my co-op unless they're fully vaccinated. Like, when did we suddenly become people that didn't care about numbers and long-term studies and side effects? Like, what? That's what we've become. And I think these are women that have been traumatized by these high-risk situations where they have had to turn to medical professionals because it was beyond the scope of anything that they could heal. I myself am personally very thankful for the people in the hospital. So it's determined that my water is broken. They've moved me to a labor and delivery room because I am definitely having a baby. They are not going to stop it. I remember that the contractions started kind of slow, and then after maybe an hour or two, they started coming every 3 minutes. And I had not really prepared for like how to labor because I thought I had more time, and I did not have more time. I remember looking at my husband and almost like looking in this like begging way, like, "Help me." And the look on his face, it's so funny. I don't know if I could do it because I remember looking at him and he's in the corner and he looks at me and he goes, "Should I like call your mom?" I was like, "Oh man, this is not the help I was looking for, babe. On my back, something. I don't know." So fast forward to later, with the second baby, we hired a doula, and he's like totally on board because he knew that he was out of his element too. Anyway, I did end up getting an epidural, and Ashley, you were born within a few hours, really. I mean, all things considered, my labor was relatively short for somebody that, for a first baby. So my water broke somewhere around midnight, and you were born somewhere around 8 o'clock in the morning. It took a long time to push. And I think, like, I had such an incredible epidural that I couldn't feel squat. And that's hard for pushing, right? Because like as a first-time mom, you're not exactly sure what muscles to use. And so what I tell my clients is, if you have an epidural, expect at least 2 hours of pushing. The whole first hour is just learning how to push. You know, the closest thing we can tell women is act like you're pooping. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's really the best way to do it. It's the same muscles. And so pushing forever and ever and ever. They start to actually prep me for surgery. They start to run through consent. This is in a high risk situation. There's at least 12 people in the room because I've been pushing for so long that they are starting to worry about the baby's condition. And there are so many people in the room because Pennsylvania is a teaching hospital. They never asked if I was okay with students, but I never did specifically request that I did not want students there. And I do see the value of having students in the room. I'm also obviously a very open person, so for me this was not like a huge deal. But I know for a lot of women, like to have that many people in the room would feel very overwhelming to them, especially if they don't know any of those people. You know, like birth is such like a tender time that you just need to know the people that are going to be in your birth space. So anyway, we're at the point where we're pushing and she's just not moving down. And then eventually they start to prep me for the C-section. And I can tell my mom's like disappointed because she knows that I did not want a C-section. My husband as well. You know, sometimes I've seen doctors talk about C-sections. Since this experience, I've seen doctors talk about C-sections, and somehow it helps the women kind of like find that last little bit of oomph they need to push the baby out. And I think that's what happened. They almost scared me into pushing her out, and maybe that is what I needed. You know, I needed to find that strength within myself to just push forward through the pain. You know, if you push for 3 hours, even with an epidural, that doesn't cover like your legs and all the wonky positions. Like it was just, I was in so much pain in my legs and the rest of my body, and I was so tired. I did eventually push her out, thank goodness, without a C-section. They laid her on my chest for, you know, maybe 15 or 30 seconds. It was not long, you know, and I understand. She was premature. She needed immediate medical attention. It was less than ideal. It made bonding, breastfeeding very, very difficult. However, it was medically necessary in the moment. And I think that people who have had healthy birth experiences, or people that have really processed the trauma in a healthy way, they can look at both sides of those things and see the way that that works, that not everything's black and white, but that shades of gray are kind of the norm. So I pushed her out. She was in NICU for 12 days. Do you know the bill? Okay, just guess down below how much you think the bill was for 12 days of NICU back, let's say 10 years ago, right? Give it a second. I got a bill from Aetna, and man, was I ever thankful for my husband's insurance, because the bill was, ta-da, $60,000. $60,000. That was just her NICU stay. That was not the birth. The birth, because of all the advanced professionals that were there, because of the high risk situation, because we had NICU in the room, because we had extra nurses in the room, we had all kinds of extra folks there to attend to her medical needs when she was immediately after being born, and they took great care of her. You know, today she is a beautiful, tall string bean of a girl. And she's absolutely gorgeous. She loves to be online a lot. And I think that's pretty normal for kids her age. But one of the things I love is that she has started to take up skateboarding. She's gotten really, really good at it. And Ashley's not known for being incredibly athletic, so to see her take something as difficult as skateboarding and master a skill like that, I think that's something that's really incredible about her. I'm also really proud of, she has joined her school's cross-country track team, and I'm super proud of that too. The reason being, again, she's not the most athletic girl, but she will continue. She is dedicated. She will stay with her team. Even if she has to walk, she will catch up. And her stamina is building every day. She's eating more every day. She the way she eats when she comes home after being at school all day and then practice is hilarious. It reminds me of my brother Brett. Like, he would just come home and just eat. And so does she, but she is built like a string bean. Like, she does not look like a girl who comes home and can house half a pizza easy. But she is. And so I love that about her. She has this personality that is whimsical and creative and
she
thoughtful.
loves to draw. Like,
she loves to
art.
draw.
Like she like.
You can be.
Okay. So a week or two ago.
Here, you can take the seat.
Yeah,
and I'll be
a
back.
good idea. So like a week or two ago. I think it was a week ago, or like maybe like 2 weeks and a half. She was like, "Dad, I want to go to the art museum." So my dad took her to the art museum because she like really likes art, and the thing is, like, she changes from style to style.
She does, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I literally see a painting over there into her room, but
her style's always changing, and like the thing she wears, she's her own person, She doesn't need to necessarily like follow the crowd to feel like she's feel like she's happy and fulfilled. And she's just kind of an awesome person. She's a great friend. She's so good to her sisters. We as usual, we have like the little cat fight things that happen here in the house, but that's just part of sibling rivalry and growing up and fighting for attention and fighting for their place in the world. And
excuse me, fighting for attention.
It's not about attention at all, guys, I'm sure. So
that's really staring in the camera.
So on that note, I'm going to go. We're going to go buy birthday candles, birthday cakes. Cakes. Yeah, we're going to go get birthday accessories, like a birthday accessory, and then we're going to
the dollar store.
Get Miss Erin, and then we're going to go to the mall, and we're going to buy some things. So that's it. We are peace out.
With the money that we have.
Thankfully, the stuff with the bank is working out. I will update that later if I have it.
Oh, it is? So you can buy me something.
All right, guys. Bye. Say bye.
Bye.
Not.